My name is Jim. I was an aeronautic research engineer at NASA. What I'm about to show you, as far as I know, has never been seen by anybody in the civilian world.
You don't even know what you're talking about, alright? You do this anymore. Do you want the stomach aches to start getting worse?
Welcome back to YouTube History. In this episode, we explore my personal favorite alternate reality game, known as nasajim108. The channel eluded many over the years of its complex videos and overall meanings, along with its surprising return after it seemingly ended. Let's dive in. The channel nasajim108 was created on July 24, 2008 and posted a video on that same day. The first thing to note is the channel description, which reads, "These are a series of videos that my client requested to be released after his death." The first video is called Dying NASA Scientist Reveals Truth About Life on Mars, and the description here on out is nearly the same as the initial description. In the clip, Jim introduces himself and gives a bit more information on who he is. He was an aeronautics research engineer at NASA from 1989 to 2004, who had quit seemingly due to health problems. He was diagnosed with bone cancer and told he would have about 5 months left to live. Jim doesn't want to die holding on to all this top secret information, so he wants to reveal it in this series of videos. He has this really deep voice that was clearly edited to disguise himself, and never shows his face at all in any of his videos or just anywhere else. About a minute in, he describes his so-called knowledge of extraterrestrial life, bringing up the Illuminati and that an advanced alien species is living on Mars.
Mischievous in a kind of robotic way. They don't have the same kind of human empathy that we're accustomed to, and they really don't feel that it's wrong to kill, as they consider the great universal intelligence that fills up all of us to be the true life and our human bodies to be kind of like balloons, and for them killing is just like popping a balloon.
He describes them physically and mentally, and even states how one used telepathic powers to kill a fellow scientist. 3 more parts to this were uploaded over the following week, continuing his knowledge of various extraterrestrial powers. Part 2 was up the next day, where he says he might play a sound clip of a gray alien. Jim says they reproduce through a person's mind, traveling through a person's mind and forming as a person's negative thoughts.
One of the most difficult things for me to understand is we've been so conditioned to think that aliens are green creatures that come down in ships and start blasting us, but the reality is far more sinister and horrifying than that.
Part 3 was uploaded the day after, which is mainly a monologue of Jim's. It rambles on, but he talks about possible threats to the planet. Shown are images of destruction and chaos, along with the at the time US President George Bush. Mixed in with the audio is violin music.
A disease to destroy you slowly when the destruction could be easily taken care of by the organism itself. It doesn't make sense to slowly perish.
Part 4 was uploaded on July 30th, 2008 and shows whatever the hell this is.
What you are watching right now was created by a scientist by the name of Bill Schneider, who worked very closely with the Greys.
He says this was made by a fellow scientist named Bill. Last name was muffled. He worked with the Grey aliens and made this hypnotic to induce a particular dream, which he will not discuss the details of. Jim says it should not be watched for 24 hours. So yeah, if you have a dream about being anally probed by aliens, let me know to see if this really works. The day after part 4, a special video was uploaded, not made by Jim, but his attorney. The family put out a temporary restraining order on her from uploading the videos due to personal information. But as soon as it was lifted, she will continue to upload in accordance to Jim's final wishes.
Since I began posting these clips, I've received a wide variety of questions regarding the identity of my client and the authenticity of the uploaded media. My client specifically requested that his identity remain concealed until October 1st, 2008. As his attorney, I am legally bound by this request, and as his friend, I have no desire to go against his final wishes. Thank you.
After a few months, the uploads returned, with the first being Dying NASA Scientist Talks About Alien Life. Jim says that his and many other ailments seem to stem from working with government agencies, that descent would lead to a disease and later death, and he was just realizing that now. He describes the point of view of a person named Frankly Summers, who supposedly made a video about all of it. He says that the richest in society would use life enhancers to live for an extra few hundred years, and let the poor die via wars and chaos. Aliens would feed on that chaos and gain power, working together with the elite. The next upload on December 11th would actually show footage of a supposed alien. He says it's a gray alien inside the subconscious of a 28-year-old convict, who was serving life in prison for murder. He volunteered for this and thought patterns were detected.
The government is subverting the proof of alien life is because alien life is actually taken up habitation within most human consciousness, and from there projects the fear reality that many people consider to be everyday life.
On February 3rd, 2009, Dying NASA Scientist Shows How to Contact Beings was uploaded. The audio and visuals are meant to allow interdimensional beings to emerge. This really disturbing thing is shown, a really small naked baby being held, with its head being a moving eyeball. This is used to bring in a being known as Neph, and might move around small objects. But don't worry, it will dissipate in just 2 hours. The music in particular with this one is very unnerving. Reminds me of the music in Infinite Fractals.
Back, open yourself to the shapes on the screen, and allow your consciousness to be the gate through which this being emerges into the world.
On February 18th, Dying NASA Scientist Shows audio/video of alien transmission was uploaded. Jim states how we as humans were able to open ourselves to open frequencies, and does indeed show one from aliens. It's pretty bizarre, but nothing too odd. Not yet, at least, for nasajim108. On March 23rd, 2009, Jim uploaded something different than his typical conspiracy videos. Called Dying NASA Scientists Being Threatened by Outside Forces, the majority of the 1-minute clip is a voicemail sent to either Jim or his attorney. I assume the latter since it's implied Jim is dead at this point, and it seems to be a response to the previous videos. She clearly threatens him, saying he doesn't even know what he's talking about, and needs to see a doctor.
You want to have to go visit the doctor pretty soon and find out what he has to say if you don't shut the fuck up?
The last bit of the video is a ditty about not being scared. The lyrics that stands out to me is,
your engines run on blood, our engines run on love.
And something that stands out even more is the visuals, an ever-changing background of Charles Manson's head, in front of a picture of Jesus Christ holding a lamb, which of course is the head of Manson. It's such an odd image that I love so much. Description is also different this time, saying, "We're not afraid." After another short hiatus, we got Dying NASA Scientist on the Alien Origins of Materialism, uploaded on August 26, 2009. Here we meet Little Hobo, a new character in the story who will be more important later on.
It's a clip from your favorite NASA scientist, Jim! So sit back and enjoy it.
His bit here is a little out of place on the channel, which is used to introduce Jim's main part of the video. First is a man in a red costume, possibly a steak costume, holding a shell and screaming in a muffled tone. We zoom into a now glowing shell before seeing this image titled Little Hobo's Jar of Power. Oh, and here's a baby with the head of a goat. Might be important pretty soon, I guess. An image of CERN's Hadron Collider is shown before Jim finally begins his monologue. He says that we've all been hit with a plague, the main symptom of which being obsession with matter. We are all on the third and final stage of disease, and we need to find those most afflicted and heal them. By the end, it's implied the solution is to kill them.
We were initially met with great resistance by those we attempted to heal, but gradually we refined our techniques and had a nearly 100% success rate.
One last thing with the Little Hobo image is that the person at the top is Aleister Crowley, an English occultist known for founding the religion of Thelema. The video overall seems to share the theme of spiritual obsession, but I could be wrong. Dying NASA Scientist describes the mothership, uploaded on October 2nd, 2009. Jim says that after the Martian apocalypse, the survivors would all board the mothership and go to another planet. On screen is a manta ray, which might be what the ship looks like. He goes on to describe the ship and how it was made in more detail, and how many across the globe were becoming more awakened. Only those who are purified can travel to our new home.
The control system compelled us to try to wake up those around us. But when we did, we were met with intense resistance. Many of us died within our pods.
There's quite a bit of parallel to religion here, especially this new planet, clearly representing heaven. Jim also says that when the mothership became corrupt, people became greedy and egotistical, falling into the same patterns those who caused the apocalypse did. The most unsettling video on the channel has to be Dying NASA Scientist Shows How to Neutralize an Alien, uploaded on October 28th. We are introduced to this goat man and then a woman tied to a lawn chair. A drawing of the Baphomet flashes on screen, with various color bars behind it. The masked dude, who might be Jim, opens a large white fan with writing on it. It says, "You are sleeping," with part of the Fibonacci sequence above it. Also listed are dates, various shapes, Bible verses, 4 names, and a drawing of a snake. The woman is shown again, screaming almost incoherently, with the goat man beside her. She manages to nearly break free except for her right arm and falling over. The man is seen attacking her with one of the creepiest laughs I've ever heard. The video ends with more coordinates and Bible verses. So let's break down what some of the messages mean. First is the names. David Kelly was a Welsh scientist with expert knowledge of biological warfare. His suicide in 2003 is under much conspiracy due to his activities with news media around that time. I couldn't find anything else about the other 3 names, but I won't be surprised if there were other scientist figures. 2 of the 3 Bible verses reference the serpent and the devil, while the other one in the middle references souls being slain. I don't know, I'm not religious. The coordinates at the end either lead to the middle of the Yellow Sea off the coast of North Korea, or this random house in Concord, Connecticut. The Bible verses are super bizarre, with Psalm 38:7 reading, "For my loins are filled with a loathsome disease, and there is no soundness in my flesh." Luke 22:57 reads, "But he denied it. Woman, I don't know him," he said. I'm sure you can come up with your own interpretations on what this could mean. Now, this next video is not publicly available on the channel anymore. It's either unlisted, privated, or flat out deleted. It's called The Goat in the Beehive, uploaded on April 11, 2010. It begins with a short little ditty and Jim making a short conspiracy-laden statement before the true video commences. It's the aptly named short story, which goes as follows. The king bee asks the goat to help cleanse his hive of an evil spirit. The goat agrees when offered the bee's honey. Interlaced throughout is a snippet of a man writhing in pain.
Your hive of this spirit. The goat came upon the hive and saw that it was corrupted.
If you know where this clip comes from, of course just tell me in the comments below. The goat nicely asks the spirit why it would invade a hive as small as this, and suggests invading a larger one. Once both leave, the goat drew the spirit into his being, transmuting it into a river of honey.
Thus the bargain was fulfilled.
Could this goat be related to the man? Most likely Jim in the goat mask? Possibly. The seemingly final video at the time was Alien Tuning Fork, uploaded on January 21st, 2011. Jim realizes that the universe is a tuning fork. If you don't know, a tuning fork has 2 prongs shaped like a U which vibrates when struck upon a surface. It can have many different purposes, including making musical frequencies. The rest of the video is him showing us his technology when related to his theories, which is a really aggravating audio clip with some glitchy visuals thrown in. It seems to repeat, "You are in," multiple times while clipping over itself. And yeah, that was seemingly the last video on the channel. The channel did gain a bit of attention, but not as much compared to other ARGs. Things got more interesting on March 10th, 2016, over 5 years later. Finally, a new upload. This one a bit more different than the others, as it's simply just a video of a clock. Titled Omega Phase, it slowly zooms into an alarm clock with hypnotic music blasting. The zoomed in face of Jesus Christ is shown with blood appearing on his face. We get this dope ass rotating shot before the video ends. It just seems bizarre at the surface with nothing else really going on for it, right? Well, you'd be wrong. This clock, as many commenters point out, represents the Doomsday Clock. Now the Doomsday Clock is a symbol meant to represent the likeliness of a man-made global catastrophe, which was created in 1947, during the start of the Cold War. It's maintained by a group of atomic scientists who have been moving it closer and closer to midnight. Once it hits that time, we are all dead. Theoretically, at least. The clock here just hit 11:58, which is where the clock was from 2018 to 2020. As of this year, the clock is 100 seconds to midnight. So, who made this video? Was it Jim or was it the attorney? Who knows, but since then, no further videos. The ERG is officially over, but Omega Phase brought more attention towards nasajim108, leading to a few well-known horror channels covering it, mainly Top 15's aka Chills. In his video, Top 15 Scary YouTube Unsolved Mysteries, the final 10 minutes was just dedicated to talking about it. This October 2016 upload boosted attention towards Jim, along with a video Reignbot did. The channel, which originally had 11,000 subscribers, now has over 60,000, mainly due to this new exposure. And of course, I had to mention it in my first episode of Disturbing YouTube Videos and Channels as the last entry. It was an alluring mystery of who this person is that many began to crack down on. So who made this channel and why? Well, it honestly wasn't that hard to find out, especially if a particular character featured on it appearing elsewhere. That would be a little hobo, which when searched on YouTube leads to various other results seemingly unrelated to nasajim.
Hey everybody! This is the first in the Little Hobo Red Reader coloring book series. It's about a little satellite that goes to space. Hope you enjoy it. Strap in and blast off!
This year is a video titled Little Hobo, the Loneliest Probe, uploaded in February 2006. That's a full 2 years before the nasajim108 channel was created, which squashes the rumors of this being a deleted video from him. So, who made Little Hobo? The answer to that is Duncan Trussell, a comedian with some surprising connections. First to be mentioned is Joe Rogan, as he is a regular guest on his podcast.
You know, let's acknowledge the fact that maybe our ideas aren't necessarily coming from inside our brains. Let's just as a fantasy imagine that there is a divine intelligence that, as one of the many beautiful things it pushes into this particular realm, is art.
Then there's Pendleton Ward, the creator of Adventure Time. He voices the character Ron James in some of the wizard-centric episodes, and plays Clancy Gilroy on Penn's other show, The Midnight Gospel. Most notable is Natasha Leggero, a fellow comedian who he dated between 2011 and 2012. It's speculated that she voiced the attorney in the 5th nasajim video, as they sound similar.
If the judge rules otherwise, then I will immediately resume the upload of materials as requested by my client in his last will and testament.
Maya Angelou for Target. You seen that? Next it's going to be Deepak Chopra for Hellman's dipping sauce.
It definitely fits. The two actually hosted the Lavender Hour podcast until they broke up, with this leading to the creation of his current podcast, the Duncan Trussell Family Hour. Duncan has used a little hobo puppet on multiple occasions during his stand-up, and is known to use religious-based philosophies in them. It's almost fact at this point that he created the nasajim channel and evolved it as he went along, but what was the motivation for it? What I'm about to say is just a theory, but it answers that question almost perfectly. Duncan had announced in late December 2012 that he had been diagnosed with testicular cancer. We don't know too much about it, but he possibly could have been afflicted with it for many years. What if Duncan used the nasajim108 channel as an outlet to cope with having such a life-threatening disease? That mixed in with his known philosophies and use of conspiracy theories in his comedy just adds up. Duncan has also been very open about his mental health. He seems to be doing fine these days and even has a family now, but there are still a lot of questions about the lore of this channel. Why the 5-year gap? Who is this woman in the chair? What do all the codes mean? And why did this asshole rapper have to use a sample of the phone call for their song? Seriously, this rapper named Tienez used most of the Threatened by Outside Forces audio for their intro to the song. Cut out the references to Jim's name and copyrighted it, because I bet you they did not pay for it, and now they place claims on videos using it. Fuck this guy. Oh, and another rapper named MK Millions made a bonus track specifically named nasajim108, which has nothing to do with the ERG at all. It's the most generic mumble rap song I've ever heard, with him talking about getting bitches and money. Where's the lyrics about tying women to lawn chairs and contacting aliens inside your mind? Disappointing. But don't let that ruin the magic. I still really like this channel. It has a really well thought out concept, interesting twists, and a creepy sense to everything. It's honestly one of the best ARGs ever made.
This is just going to be the first of many posts. I really don't have the strength to spend much more time doing these things. Check back and I'll post some more